The goal here is to close the last mile. And this is one of the things that I've learned. I've been out on the road since about November, talking to our customers, talking to our partners to figure out, okay, what are the gaps? What do we need to do? What does F5 need to do for you to make sure that we can go in and take advantage of the opportunity that exists in this space? And what you're seeing here is a couple of slides. You're going to see more about this in a little bit. But we're trying to really go in and look at this from a use case perspective and get this to the point where you can enable your teams as fast as possible. What I've learned is that there isn't a huge gap. The products and capabilities that we have right now are products and capabilities that we can take to our customers and realize opportunity in the space. The knowledge that you all have with your engineers and your sales folks, all of the people that are actually on the ground doing the work, they already actually have all of the knowledge they need. They just need this little last mile closed of the language and the words that are being used in this space. So this diagram is kind of simplified, but I wanted to go through it a little bit. We can call it, I guess, AI Infrastructure and Security 101. There's two sides to these sorts of infrastructures. There's what we call the runtime side, or inference, which is a new word. And then we have the training side, or the build side of it. The left side is the inference in this case. The right side is the build side. And we have capabilities that are going to be available in all of these areas. So when we look at this, the first place where we have opportunity is around the ingestion of data. Every AI model in the world is only as good as the data that it was trained on. And that means that if you want to have a really good model, you have to have a lot of data coming into that system. And that is the first opportunity for us, is that ingest, the data coming in. And you may say, why is that interesting? Why is F5 talking to NetApp and MinIO and storage vendors all of a sudden? Well, turns out that when you're shipping a lot of data, hundreds of gigabits a second, and you're doing that over the internet, well, you have to encrypt it. Well, F5 kind of knows something about that. And you have to load balance it because you can't send all that into one pop. It goes into multiple places. Are these all starting to sound like familiar problems? Now, the numbers, when we talk about AI, are much larger. But the fundamental problem is actually something that this entire room probably already knows how to solve. Okay? So data ingest is our first area of opportunity. But then we've got another one, which is in the query and movement of that data. And what we found and heard from customers is, look, I have data kind of all over the place. I have some data that will not leave my prem ever. It's not going to go outside of my walls or of my data center. I have some data that's going to come into the cloud but needs to find its way back into the data center so I can train my models. Or I have data that needs to be governed because some of that data is valuable or sensitive or subject to regulation, and I need someone to help me do that and do it at the speed of AI. Well, that's another place where F5 has played for a long time. It's just a new application or a new space. Then there's the other side of this on the front door. Who knows APIs? Anybody know anything about API security in this room, or web applications? Well, guess what? Inference is just an API or a web application. A lot of the capabilities that we have in our load balancing capabilities, in our ADC products, and our WAP capabilities are immediately applicable on the front end of this. These are all things that we already know how to do. Your people are already trained to deliver these things. You probably already have services, but I doubt that they say the word inference in it. And if they don't say inference, the team that is building this at your customer doesn't even know we exist. And so the last mile that I'm talking about is this little nomenclature, the taxonomy, and the terms that we need to all familiarize ourselves with to recognize the opportunity so that we can go and guide our customers through these challenges. So we have another one here around load balancing, what we call retrieval augmented generation queries. And what RAG is when you train a large language model, LLM, I'm going to try and make sure that I define every acronym. If I don't, you can yell at me and say, what is that acronym? LLM is a large language model. If you use ChatGPT, that's a large language model. Okay? RAG is going in and saying, well, I trained it on a set of data, but I also might need something else. I might need some specific data. And F5 has done a good job of this. We have this internal tool called F5 GPT. And it's actually built on a publicly available large language model. And when we used RAG, and what we did is we took all of the data in Dev Central, we took all the data in our support articles, all the stuff on our website. We said, augment your knowledge of the world with this data so that you can answer F5 specific questions. Okay? And so those queries are always going out. When you're training an LLM, you have the base model, and then you have what we call RAG. And RAG is when you're going out and trying to get a little bit more data so you can answer that user's question. That results in a lot of queries, and it results in a lot of interesting security challenges, because now you have to be really careful about what's going in and what questions are being asked. Because what if one of those things was a list of credit card numbers, social security numbers, or medical data? So it creates a lot of opportunity just on the RAG side for us to go in and apply what we already know and what we already do. But again, if we don't use the right terms, we'll never know that this opportunity exists in our customers. We've also got opportunity around authentication and rate limiting of APIs. Because we all know that as soon as you open up an API, now it's available to everyone, and you've got to start policing access to it. You've got to make sure the right people are accessing it. A lot of our customers, I'm going to talk about a case study here in a little bit, need to make sure that they're metering the use of their APIs, because they're charging for these APIs. They're enabling things like LLM as a service, and they need someone in there to tell them, well, how much is this being used? Is it authenticated correctly? Are we having the right amount of traffic going to it? And then last, but certainly not least, is load balancing global AI factories. This one's a little bit of a different use case, because not every enterprise customer is going to go deploy an AI factory type of compute environment. A lot of our customers are saying, look, we're going to use something from an existing provider. But for the ones that are building these out, and we certainly have customers that are doing this, load balancing and getting traffic to those GPUs is a big issue. On average, customers are only using 40% of their deployed GPU capacity. So think about that. I go spend $10 million on a bunch of GPUs. I clear out racks and racks of space in a data center. I'm using power to not only power those GPUs, but then to cool them down. So I spent $10 million plus all the operational costs of doing all that, but I'm only using 40% of that capacity because I can't get enough data into that computer environment. So we have a huge opportunity in these spaces, not only to make these AI factories or these compute infrastructures that are focused around GPUs more efficient, but also go in and say, hey, we can get the most out of that very, very lucrative spend that you've committed to. So let's talk about a couple of case studies. The first one here is really focused on that entry point, right? That data ingest side of things, just getting data in and getting it into an enterprise data store and getting it to the point that it can be used to train a model. This case study is for a large global auto manufacturer working on autonomous vehicles. And what we worked with them on is you've got millions of vehicles out there that are streaming data in to these data centers, to these regional POPs all the time. If you drive one of these cars, you are sending them data. And I always say, if you're not paying for something in technology, then you're the product. And in this case, that training data is the actual product. So this training data comes in to these regional POPs, and it's coming in from millions of vehicles. It's all in real time. And it all needs to be stored somewhere very quickly, because they're going to use that data to train their autonomous driving model. And when you look at the diagram here, there shouldn't be much of a surprise. Does anybody not recognize the solutions on the screen here? We've got big IP, i5800s at the front end of that, and then we've got our Velos platform at the back end. And what we're doing is what we've done for years, which is taking in a large volume of data, get it distributed to the right place, and do TLS decrypt on it. It's not rocket science. It's something that we all know how to do. And this is a huge opportunity for us, because the scale represented by this solution is massive. This is something that you can all go out and start realizing opportunity on. And this is one of those great use cases. It's not overly complicated. We are doing load balancing, we are doing TLS offload, and we're doing it at massive scale with hardware, and it's deployed in these regional POPs. And there are hundreds of examples like this out there right now of customers that need our help to solve these things, because they don't know how to solve these things on their own. The second case study here is delivering a large language model as a service, and I mentioned this earlier. And this one's interesting because this is for a sovereign AI. So when you go and train an LLM, I mentioned earlier that the LLM is only as good as the data that you put into it. And a lot of the LLMs in the world are only trained on 1 or 2 languages. Can anyone guess what the first language is, the most prevalent one? It's English. So if you're a country and your native language is not English, then you immediately have a problem. And that's what this customer is doing, is they are building an LLM that is specific to the language of their country. And what they want to do is they want to build that as a sovereign AI, because they want to offer that up as a service, to companies in that country so that they can then go build and use RAG and use all these other agentic services to build services for the citizens of that country. There's about 200 languages in the world. That's over 7,000 actual languages, but 200 well-known languages. So there's 200 opportunities right there just in this one little use case to go in and say, hey, almost every country in the world is going to say, well, we've got to use AI, but we've got to deliver it in the language that our people speak. And a lot of the models right now are only trained on English or a couple of other languages. So there's a huge opportunity just in here. But the interesting thing about this is we did it from the front end to the back end. I love this use case because we started with, this was an existing big IP customer. We went in, and our partner went in with us for this opportunity. And we leveraged the fact that we have that ADC footprint. This was a kind of model for how we're looking at how we can engage in this space. We went and had the conversation and asked the right questions, and it was because the team was prepared with the words and the nomenclature and the use cases that we know work, that they were able to recognize, hey, we've got an opportunity in this entirely new area of the business for that company. But they understood that that is actually just ADC and security services. So we started with big IP, that was already there, but we were able to go in and deploy some more big IPs, but that opportunity then expanded into XE-WAP, into NGINX API Gateway, and then into AI Gateway. This is one of our beta customers for AI Gateway, which Kunal mentioned is releasing tomorrow. The key thing here, and the key things that I've seen as I've been having these conversations with customers all over the world, is first, ask and learn. Ask your customers what they're doing. I have not had a single customer tell me that their company is not doing something with AI. They're all doing something. If you've all been on this journey with me for a while, if you remember a thing called Super NetOps, does anybody remember Super NetOps? A lot of hands there. There we go. We're going to redo it. We have to come up with a different name because AI Ops doesn't quite work for it. But the model that we had with Super NetOps was to go in and do these things. Ask what your customers were doing with automation. Ask what your customers are doing with AI. Maybe the team you're talking to isn't directly involved yet, but we have a huge opportunity to go in and then engage and educate that customer, that person, so that they can go provide value to their business. So we can go in and do a little bit of education and say, hey, you're immediately able to go into probably the most cutting edge part of what your company is doing and provide value from sitting in your infrastructure hat or sitting with your security hat on. And then building trust. And trust is a huge one right now because there is so much going on in the AI space and it's happening so fast that customers are looking for trusted partners. They're looking for people that can come in and solve the problem and get out of the way. They have so much going on, and there's so much going on in the AI ops space where you're dealing with models and training and all of those things, that they really don't want issues in the infrastructure and security space. And I think that this room represents some of the best relationships in the known universe in this case. We have a known trust relationship with our customers, and with what I'm going to be showing you here on how we're making this kind of formulaic for you, we can go in and deliver the solution, get it working, and get the F out of the way. Okay, that's the name of the game. Customers are not looking to experiment here. They just want it to work so they can move on and go solve the problems that they need to focus on. So this customer that I was talking about, the LLM as a service, you can see the yellow dots there. This was a multi-solution footprint, right? It's everything in the portfolio. It's big IP, it's XC, it's got NGINX in there. We're going to go in and they're already using AI Gateway, which is launching tomorrow, right? And we're going to do more with this customer because we were able to go in and integrate the solution, deliver it, and get out of the way so they could go on with the business of delivering that sovereign AI to their customers and building their service out. Now, I really like what we've done here, and I wish I could take credit for it, but I'm not going to because there's a massive team of people that have been working behind the scenes at F5. We have this thing called the AI reference architecture. Hopefully you can, my head isn't blocking the QR code. I'll move this way so you can get to it. This has been out on the website for a while. If you've met with me over the last couple of months, I've probably already talked about this. Please go to this site. This site is there as a resource for you as partners, but also for customers to do that engagement and to do that education. It's there because we want to make this easy. We want to quickly equip all of you and all of our customers with the knowledge that they need to go help solve these problems. We're on the third iteration of this. Our business development team has done a great job of kind of going in and is constantly updating this. I have a bi-weekly call where we go through and we say, what have we all learned? We all get together. What have we learned? What are you hearing from customers? What's working? What isn't? And they are rapidly iterating this reference architecture so that you're getting the best of it, because that's the speed that we need to work at. Now, what does this reference architecture look like? You saw some block diagrams, but this is a little bit more complicated. This is more filled in. These are the building blocks, the foundational building blocks of kind of an AI ecosystem. And what we did is, all right, let's break this down. So the ones that I talked about today were these two blocks, right? Inference and kind of the front end side of things. And then when you go in and click into the reference architecture, this is one example of a whole bunch of them, okay? You can go in and then see a picture like this, and it tells you exactly what use case, what problem we solve, in which block, and what that's called. And it comes along with deployment guides and a recommendation from F5 of here's the product or service or solution that you should use with that. You, as partners, can take this and then add on all your goodness to it. And that's what I would love all of us to do, is take that reference architecture and then go build on top of it, because I'm sure that there are other things that you do that are uniquely valuable to our customers, and you can add to this. But this is one example of what that reference architecture looks like and what you can do with it. Please go take a look at it. If you have feedback, please give it to us, because we're iterating it as fast as we possibly can. Now, the last part about this is we can't do this. AI is an ecosystem. We can't do this figuratively without you, our partners, but also without our technology partners. And I'm really happy with the progress that we've made in a very short amount of time. Around the LLM side of things, we've got Intel, NVIDIA, and Red Hat. On the AI and storage side, I've got MinIO and NetApp already up there on the list. AI security, you've got OpsWap, Portkey, Prompt. And then on the AI factory side, Dell and NVIDIA. This set of logos is already a good set of logos, but the most exciting part about this is the roadmap of partners that we have is much bigger. They won't fit on the slide right now. We are bringing technology partners into this as fast as we possibly can, because we know that our customers are going to be using all of these things, and we need an integrated solution that they can trust and deploy, and then we can get out of the way and let them go do what they need to with AI. So to kind of wrap up this section of it, where's the opportunity? First, expand our ADC footprint. That is the entry point. To do that, we use a formula that we know already works, which is go in and educate our customers, give them something new to take back to their business. Teach them what AI infrastructure and security is. Teach them how to go in and leverage what they already know, but do something new and different with it. And they'll go and actually do the work for us. The second is joint partner solution development. That's both with our technology partners, but also with you, right? Take the reference architecture and then go break it up and go do and add all your goodness to it. The more we do that, the more we're going to be able to have a differentiated value prop to our customers and have something that's unique that no other vendor or set of partners can really get in on. And then last is that AI architecture blueprint with ADC 3.0. And I think that we are hitting it just right. We have the right set of solutions, services, and we've got the right thought process around this to go in and execute on this space.